After talking with a lot of people that use Google Chrome, what I'm realizing is that a lot of people aren't utilizing all of the opportunities that come in Google Chrome. So this live presentation, or if you're watching later in the recording, is tricks, tips, tools, settings, just for you to get the most out of your Google Chrome usage. And so I'll be sharing some stuff on my screen. I'll be answering questions if there's questions in the chat. And a lot of the stuff comes from questions that people have asked previously. And so it, just so you're aware, that's kind of where it's coming from. And I want to make sure that you're utilizing Chrome to the best ability that you have. But in the meantime, I mean, it's really about saving you time and giving you shortcuts and just different tools and settings that help maximize your experience. And so you're not wasting time uh, going through things or doing things that don't help you be more productive, right? So it's more of productivity. So what I'm sharing here, right, as you can see my screen. So before we even set up Chrome is you need to understand that there's profiles in Chrome. And I know a lot of you might know this, but the idea of profiles is that each profile has its own settings. So imagine like when you get in a car and you hit a button, you and your partner, and one is taller, one is shorter. And the idea is that you can just jump in and all of your settings are the same. The beautiful thing about Chrome is it syncs across all of your devices. It goes from your computer to home to your iPad or your tablet or your phone, and all of those settings are the same. So your history is the same, your favorites are the same. All of those things sync across the board. So that's one thing that you need to understand. The other thing about Chrome profiles is that you can have multiple profiles connected to the same computer. And so I'm about to show you all the profiles that I have. And before I do, it's, the profiles that I have set up are some personal profiles, some work profiles, some of my kids' profiles that use my computer every once in a while. And then also some businesses that I've helped out do some stuff using Google and the workspace and different things like that. And so I have a login for those just to help them. So in the top right corner, when we click on or we hover over our little icon here, if you've uploaded your own picture, you'll see that it'll tell you which account you're in. What I like to do is change the colors of my different accounts so I know which account I'm in because I have so many. But when I click on here, you'll see that I have my email address, but you'll see that I have all of these profiles connected to Google Chrome. Now, I can click on any of these and it'll open up a new window or it'll ask me to log in. So that way, my Gmail, my docs, my sheets, everything stays there. I don't have to worry about sharing things across profiles. I don't have to worry about logging in, which Google Classroom is connected to my school or which one is connected to my email. I just have them separated out. And so I can just click on the button, it opens up and I'm there. And you'll notice that there's some that are multiple, right? I have some private ones, I have some personal ones, I have some ones connected to the school, I have some business ones. Anyway, I can click on any of these and manage that account by itself. So it's a great way just to jump from account to account instead of logging out and logging back in. And you can actually have two profile tabs open at the same time. So I can scroll from my personal account to my school account. Maybe it's lunch and you're doing some shopping and you jump on Amazon or whatever. You can go that way. So when we get here, we have some options to set this background up here. And you'll notice down in the bottom right-hand corner where we have this little pencil, we can actually customize Chrome to our specific need, depending on what you're using Chrome for. So when I click on customize, you'll see here that I can change the color. And this is where I was talking about earlier. Under my different profiles, I like to change the color of the Chrome background and stuff like that. So I have a specific color for each specific account. You don't have to do that. It just helps you identify which Chrome account that you're using. And so you know which profile you're in. So you can see that you can change the theme. When I click on change theme, it will take me to a bunch of different options. I can do just traditional colors. They'll have different themes based on which month it is. You can see here Native American artists, Latino artists, Black artists, LGBTQ artists, Asian Pacific Islander. You have textures, you have earth, you have art, you have a bunch of different things that you can change the background. So the minute I change that, it will change the colors in the background of all of my themes, right? You could actually have this change every day if you wanted to. So I'm going to go back to the colors that I had here. Now, what you'll also notice about this is it's going to bring up this bar right here, which basically is your history bar below here, and it's your 8 most recent pages. So when we click on the 3 dots here, we can hide these files. We can don't show drive files here. And these we can change as well. And this will go in our settings. Now we have a search bar here, but this bar here does the same thing as the Omnibox. So the Omnibox has a lot of tools in it. We'll get to the point where you can get a timer in there. You can get calculations for math. You can get conversion charts. You can get roll the dice and some other activities that would be great for a teacher in a classroom. But I want to talk about on startup and some of the settings that you have before you even jump into what Chrome looks like. So in the top right-hand corner, when you click 3 dots, you can scroll down to settings and click on settings. It's going to open up a bunch of different options for you in your settings. Now, you'll see here that I have this syncing across all of my devices. So my school email syncs with my home computer and vice versa. So if I do anything for work, it shows up on my laptop. If I do anything on my laptop, it shows up at home. Now, there's a lot of different options here, and I highly recommend having a lot of them turned on depending on how you use Chrome. So you can do autofill and passwords. And the nice thing about autofill is you don't have to save all of your passwords. Google will just save your passwords for you. It'll notify you of compromised passwords. You can also save payment methods. If you're using this as a personal computer or a personal device, it will save your debit card, your credit card. So when you go to buy something, it automatically pulls all the information up. You just have to put in the 3-digit code or the CVV code on the back or the front of your card, depending on which type of card you have. It will also save addresses. So if you go to a new site, like you go to target.com and you're ordering something, it'll pull up your payment information, your shipping address, and you just click it, and it's done. So you can adjust those here. I'm not going to click on these because it'll show my address and some of my card information. But when you click this little caret arrow, it will allow you to add addresses or remove old addresses. And it's nice because if you move or if you have like a shipping address at the school and maybe a shipping address at home, you want stuff to go to different places, you can do that. Performance, it'll give you updates and information about your memory, how much time you're using it. The appearance, as we've already talked a little bit about, but there's a couple things here that you have options to do when you're customizing your Google Chrome experience. So you can change the font size, and when you change this font size, it changes everything on screen. So all of the text becomes a little bit bigger, and you can do that with this one click of the button. So that's your websites, that's everything. Your page zoom is, your command if you're on a Mac, or control if you're on a PC. The plus and minus sign, you can zoom in and zoom out depending on what you're watching or what you're looking at. You can go that way. And then I like my side panel on the left. You can see it on the right or on the left. You can choose whichever one you want. And then you can actually show the home button or unclick your bookmarks bar. If you want to hide your bookmarks bar or accidentally somehow you make it disappear, this is how you get it back. So when I click on that, you'll see that the bookmarks bar disappears right there. And I can turn the home button on or off and enable. So the search engine, this is where you would customize which search engine you want to use. You can actually use Chrome, but you can have it be a different search engine. Your default browser, this is where you would set up your default browser. So anytime it opened up a new window, what your default window is. And then on startup, I really, really like this option. I highly recommend it to everybody, is to have the option where you continue where you left off. So some people don't have this turned on. And what that means is every time they open Chrome, they're open up to just a blank tab of a window, right? It's just a search tab. And it doesn't have where you continue to leave off. If you work in education, this is a huge time saver, because the minute you open your Chromebook or your PC or your Mac or whatever, if you're on Chrome, it automatically saves to where you were searching and you were at previously. So that shows up right then. You can also have it open to a set of specific pages. So depending on your role, when you open up Google Chrome, you can have it set to open maybe your finance section, your attendance section if you're a teacher, different sections in Google Chrome, but it'll automatically open up to where you save it. So looking at those 3 settings, which one is the best for you? I highly recommend continue where you left off, and it allows you to just go exactly where you were finished doing your search. So there's that. You can change your languages. You have options for your downloads. So you can have your downloads go straight to PDF. You can have it automatically open. You can change the folder name of that file that you're downloading. Depending on what type of computer system you're running, you could have it go straight to your desktop, straight to a file, something like that. Then you have accessibility, system, and reset settings. If you click on reset settings and go through it, it'll reset everything and you can start from scratch all over again. The other thing that I really like about this page that not a lot of people know about is you can access all your extensions here, but most importantly about Chrome. Sometimes things don't necessarily work the way that they should in Chrome, and it might be a combination of extensions. It might be a combination of other things. But you'll see here that my Chrome is actually out of date. So I updated it earlier this week. If I update now, it's going to close all these windows and this live broadcast is going to go dead. So I'm actually not going to do it right now. But if you manually want to update Chrome, this is where you would go. And I'll show you in 3 steps. So you click the 3 dots here, go down to settings, and then about Chrome. And it's going to check to see if your Chrome is up to date. Generally, when you're having a problem with Chrome or an extension or something that's connected with Chrome, it's because your Chrome is out of date or your computer's out of date. It's one of those 2 things. So whenever anybody calls a help desk or we have students or parents that call to get help, is I highly recommend just saying, hey, this is what I want you to do. Even though your computer and Chrome should update automatically, sometimes it just doesn't go through. And so I highly recommend that you check this if your extensions aren't working or different things like that. So that's the settings part of Google Chrome. Now, the next few parts are ways to maximize your Omnibox and your toolbar. So when we look at shortcuts, and I'm going to copy and paste these into the chat so you can see all of these. Some of them I use more regularly than others, and some of them I never use. But the idea of using shortcuts just saves you time every time you're in Google Chrome. So for example, you can see on the window that I'm in, I have 5 tabs across the top. Well, we'll say 4 tabs across the top, right? Well, one of the quick ways to jump from tab to tab is to just use your number key on the screen that you're on. So when you are in a full tab of windows, you can just hit Control 1, Control 2, and it will jump. Now, if you're on a Mac, it's Command, and you probably know that by now, but I'm actually just hitting Command 1, 2, 3, and 4, and it's automatically jumping straight to that tab. If you're on a Mac, there's a shortcut that's built internally. I don't necessarily love that one because sometimes it doesn't work. If you have multiple windows open, the shortcuts will only work on the window that's on top. Or if you're running a dual monitor, it's whichever screen your mouse is on. So right now I'm on screen 1. If I were to move my mouse off screen, I'd be on another screen that you guys can't see. It kind of has my notes and the video that's running live, so I can read the comments and stuff that are coming in. There's other shortcuts here too. You can show your history by just hitting Command H or Control H, and it'll pull up the history. You can move the cursor to the Omnibox, which just brings everything right up here. So essentially, this is not only shortcuts for you, but it's also accessibility for people that don't have access to a mouse or a trackpad. So it allows you to move around the screen without actually using your mouse, right? So these are a lot of the shortcuts. There's more than this. If I'll put a link here that you can see all the shortcuts. Let me just open it, and it's just support through Google. And I'll put this here in the comments so you can actually go look at all those shortcuts. So all the shortcuts are listed here. There's tab and window shortcuts. There's Google Chrome features. There's address bar shortcuts. There's web page shortcuts, and there's mouse page shortcuts. I won't go through all of them because there's a ton of shortcuts that you can look at, but depending on what you need, they're there. It's right there on the Google website. So looking at your Omnibox, right? The Omnibox is this search bar slash URL finder, right? Google changed this probably 8 or 9 years ago where you could just type right in here what you were searching for and it would automatically pull up. You don't have to go to google.com, and some people still do that to search for something, but the search bar is now just the Omnibox. And the Omnibox has a lot of powerful tools built right into it. And I want to walk you through some of those. There's a timer, there's a calculator, there's conversion charts, there's weather. You can get definitions straight from the Omnibox. So I'll walk you through some of those, but I wanted to show you some of the things that you have access to when you're in your Omnibox. Now, your back button obviously is here, but if you want to hold this down, it will show you a full history of where you've been in your little journey that day in Google Chrome. When you want to see if something will happen, if you do the long pause, all you have to do is hover over a button and it will give you a notification in Chrome what you need to do. So like I was talking about, the history automatically pulls up when you're here. So here you'll see that in the Omnibox at the end, I have my bookmarks bar, and I also have share this page. Now, depending on where you are in Google, different things will show up in the Omnibox. If I'm looking for flights, there's a little money sign that will show up in the Omnibox, and I can click on that and it will save that search and it'll track the flights through Google Flights. There's other things that show up from time to time, and I've tried to keep a note of all of them, but sometimes it happens so quickly that I don't know what they are. So when we click on here, if you have Chrome open, you're kind of following along, you can click on share this page, and there's a few things that you can do here. You can copy this link, obviously, and send it to somebody in a text or a message. You can create this page in a QR code. So I'm thinking about, as a teacher, if you're creating, like a gallery walk in your classroom, or kind of this activity where kids are going around scanning stuff and reading different articles and whatever. It's kind of like a gallery walk, but I was a language arts teacher, so it's a little bit different. You can actually create a QR code of that individual website. When I click on create QR code, it's right here, and I would just download that, and then I could print it and have the gallery walk there and have maybe a little explanation underneath that. The other option that I have is I can actually cast this to another device. So if I have a smart TV or a smart monitor, I can cast this to my device wirelessly. And then I can also save this page as a PDF or a web page, an HTML page that I can embed someplace else. So that's some of those things right here. Now, when we click on the star, it's a bookmark button. And, Google, if you're familiar with Google, they had a Google Reader for a really, really long time, and everybody loved it. And then they got rid of it and people started using other tools, and they've kind of brought it back in a way. Pocket actually became a huge thing because Google Reader went away. But so when you have a bookmark, you have the option to select where that bookmark is going to go. And so we have it, in a bookmarks bar is basically your general just default settings, but you can actually create folders and throw different bookmarks into those folders based on how you search the web. So for example, I'm an educator. I have different things that are connected with my bookmarks bar, and you can see them here, right? So I have finances, I have admin, which is anything that connects with me and my role as a principal and managing of the school. I have one that is for agendas. So I have all of my agendas bookmarked, and this is any meeting that I could go to. So this is like my faculty meeting, my leadership meeting, my school community council, my meeting with my supervisor. All the agendas are there, and we have a running agenda. So all I do is click on that, open it, and it opens my agendas. If I'm looking for classroom ideas or school ideas, maybe it's a theme, maybe it's a design, maybe it's a lesson plan that I want to share with a teacher, I will save that here. And then we had a new program that we ran at the school this year called Basecamp. So it had everything that I had ideas about in Basecamp. And so I would just save them there. Now, if you're not using the bookmarks bar, that's totally fine, but you have this option here. You also have the reading list, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So one of the things that I wanted to show you is all the options with the Omnibox. So when I type in timer, hopefully this works. Last time it just searched for the timer instead of bringing one up, and I want to make sure that it works. as I'm refreshing and hopefully still connected to the internet. Of course, it's happening live. So what I'll do is I'll show you the other thing. Um, you can see that the Omnibox is actually going to solve math problems. So as I type in equations there, you can see it'll pull up just in the Omnibox. It's also going to tell me here, but you can do some pretty complex things, right? So 4,000 times 24, it's going to give you the answer right there. But if I'm in the Omnibox and I type the same thing, you can see that it pulls up the information right there in that little blue drop down that it has. Now, I don't know if you can see my Omnibox or not, but you can do that in there. You also can do weather. So in the Omnibox, if you just type in the weather and the zip code, right there, it's pulling up the weather right there in the Omnibox. So I don't have to actually do a search for it. It's just pulling up that information right there in the Omnibox. We can also do 6 USD to EU. Whoops, I had weather in there. Excuse me. Oh, there it is right there. So if I just type in 6 USD, it'll give me the Canadian dollar. And then when I hit the refresh button, it'll give me that information here, but it was also right there in the Omnibox. When I click on roll a dice, these are some of the activities that actually, when I say activities, I mean tools that Google pulls up straight from the Omnibox. So if you're in a classroom setting or an administration setting, or you're in a PD session and you want to randomly call on people, you can just pull up 5 random die and it'll give you a total. And you can say, okay, I want to roll the dice and have pick on person number 19. If you're calling on kids in the classroom, this is a great way too, because it's random and you can say, oh, it's on the dice, right? It's not me. I know a lot of people do the sticks and they do different things like that. When you look at the options that you have here, you can see that there's a lot of applicable things to use in the classroom or in PD sessions when you're with your students. So I'm in roll a dice. When I click the down arrow, you can see a lot of the other options that Google has connected with the Omnibox. So there's the meditation app. Say you're about to have a meeting with a parent, or you're in a situation where you just need to cool down for a minute. You can click on the meditation app, and when I go through this 1-minute breathing exercise, it'll actually give you a visual representation of what's happening, and I can do the breathe in and breathe out with it. And it just, you can feel your breathing go down, your pulse go down, your blood pressure go down. And this is all live right in the Omnibox. If you're a music teacher, there's a tuner, there's a metronome. So there's the metronome, there's the tuner, there's a color picker, there's a calculator. There's also other games and toys that you can go through. There's solitaire and other things like that, animal sounds, tic-tac-toe. A lot of the kids know about these, right? There's Pac-Man that you can just play. So all of these are built straight into the Omnibox. There's translations, there's maps. You can type right into the top here. So I'm going to close this window. And I want to make sure, see, this actually search for a timer. There's the timer. So if you just type in timer 5 minutes, it pulls up right there. And you can do it up here as well. And it will start 5 minutes. And then you could do a stopwatch if you want as well. And that's right from the Omnibox. So the other thing in the Omnibox, it's not necessarily in the Omnibox, but it is our extensions bar here. So the puzzle piece, if we zoom in, on the puzzle piece, this is where we have control of the extensions that we add to Chrome. You'll see here that we have a little pin. That means it's pinned to the tab. If I want to unpin them, they're still running in the background. They just save me some space. Now, if there's something that I use regularly, like Google Keep, I may want to keep that in there. Some of these extensions are connected with me. Some of them are connected with Chrome. Some of them are connected with Google Docs and other things that I use regularly. But those are where you would have your extensions. I'll spend a little bit more time in extensions later on in the live stream. You also have this this little guy right here, right? This is the show the side panel. So the right side panel is where you've saved your current reading list. So there are certain blogs or websites that I follow regularly, almost every day. Kind of when I get into work, I'll read, the articles that have come out that day. You can pick whichever ones you want, but I mean, when you find a website that you like, so I'll just go to ESPN.com. When I click on star, you can see that it's already bookmarked, right? But if I want to add this to my reading list, I add the current tab, and then now ESPN shows up in my reading list. I get distracted when I go to ESPN because it's not necessarily connected to work. It's usually sports, whatever. So I don't like that in my reading list. But these are all education, leadership, growth, personal improvement blogs that I kind of read on a regular basis. And so these are in my reading list. And you can create your own reading list. And it could be an article that you liked, but you want to save later, or that you want to share with somebody. And you just pop it right over here, and it shows up in your reading list. When you click on the check mark, it says, oh, I've read this page. And then if I unclick it, it just shows back up in my reading list. Now, these are updated regularly. That's why I don't have them just in my reading list. You can do this with individual websites. You can do this with individual blog posts in a website or on a website. So it's a really helpful tool to kind of help you go through your reading list. Now, the bookmarks bar. One of the things that I really, really recommend to people is if you're using a bookmarks bar, you most likely know what all of these sites are. And when I say all of these sites, all of these different sites that you have here, if you're going to bookmark something and you don't use it regularly, it's just going to create mush. And so when I say mush, I'm talking about bookmarks that run all the way across the top of your screen. And I'm going to show you, when you click your down arrow here, hundreds of bookmarks down here. Well, the reason a lot of people used bookmarks is because they didn't have a reading list. Now that we have reading lists and we're actively using those, or I'm actively using it, I don't put things in the bookmark anymore, right? But I still have all these that I haven't cleaned up. The bookmarks across the top in my bookmarks bar are ones that I use every single day. So you can see that I have our SIS system, our learning management system, Canvas. I have my Google Calendar. I have our school Facebook page. I have a directory for our district that's a digital file. It allows me to find phone numbers and different things like that. And so when you're when you're creating your bookmarks bar, in order to maximize the bookmark bar itself, what I highly recommend, and I'll show you right here on this help ticket, is I'm going to rename this and I'm going to edit this. And what you'll see here is it's about 25 characters, right? Well, that 25 characters stretches out and it takes up room in my bookmarks bar. So what I would like to do is just shorten this. I already know what it is, so I'm going to take off these few letters, and then I'm just going to click save. And what you'll notice is that a new folder appeared on my bookmarks bar. Now, you'll find, right? I'm going to take this and I'll throw it down here again next to ESPN. You'll notice that when I just added the ESPN serving sports fans, whatever, is that this tab in my bookmarks bar, or this folder, disappeared and it's no longer there. Well, that's because if you look here, this is almost, let's see here. It's going to be like 50 characters, right? There's the timer, and that's what it sounds like. So I'm going to go back and turn this off. That's why I left it on the whole time. You're probably wondering, because I wanted you to know what it sounds like. And that's just running in the background on your desktop. So it's great to use in a classroom or a meeting if you're timing yourself, whatever. So when I go back here to the bookmarks bar and I want to edit this one, I know what ESPN looks like. I know that E, right? I've been looking at that E for 40 years. So I don't need to have an explanation of what that bookmark is. So I delete the entire name of the bookmark. Okay. And then I just hit a space and click on save. So I'm going to stop this really quick sharing, and I'm going to go back and share it with you again. There we go. And so you'll see here that I have the ESPN. If I want to remove this bookmark, because I have 2 of them, I'm going to delete that. So ESPN is there and it just has one little space after it. And that allows me to have multiple bookmarks. And you can see here that I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 to 20 bookmarks. And then I still have room for my folders here. Now you'll notice too that in my Omnibox, now I'm on a new page, there's new options that came up, right? So I can install the ESPN app, or I can open a search in a side panel. So those are 2 things that will appear regularly depending on where you're at and what you're searching for. Looks like Michael Jordan is going to sell the Hornets. Anyway, so those are the recommended settings to be productive in your Google Chrome, right? This is not Gmail. This is not anything else. This is just Google Chrome. If you have individual questions, please reach out. My contact information is here. I'm going to go back and actually timestamp this. So after it's live, I'll go through and write out how to do some of the things that we've talked about. If you're here live watching, thank you for jumping in. I appreciate you. And if you have questions, go ahead. I'm going to give you guys about 30 seconds if you have questions. The next live session will be on Gmail. That'll probably be twice this long. It's to utilize and maximize Gmail and to get the best settings to have the most productivity based on your role, whether it's in education or in small business or whatever it is. I just want to help people be more productive using the Google Workspace. And so thank you so much for staying in the whole time. I hope you like and subscribe and do all that stuff that everybody says at the end. But have a fantastic week or summer. If you're in education, enjoy the next 6 to 8 to 10 weeks, depending on how long your summer is. Thank you for what you do for kids on a daily basis. It does make a difference. It means the world to them. You're changing lives. I love you. I appreciate you. And I'm glad that you're here.